Hello student, welcome back for the class of MBA semester 4 International Marketing Environment. Today is our lecture number 25, 26 and 27, and the topic of our today's discussion is trading partners and India's foreign trade policy, means FTP, and export import policy, acronymed as EXIM policies. So the primary objective of our today's session is help to understand the concept of trading partners and India's foreign trade policy and EXIM policy. So the contents of our today's session are trading partners, India's major trading partners in 2006 and 7, India's major trading partners in 2012, India's foreign trade policy, means EXIM policy. So in this today's session we are going to discuss about the first policy, that is called as EXIM policy 1997 to 2002. Okay, the other policies that we will discuss in the next session. Okay, so let us start the discussion with trading partners. So what do we mean by trading partners and what is the role of that trading partners in the international business? Countries or companies that those who are involved in the international trade and conducting the international business activity by means of exchanging of goods and services on regular basis by involving in some sort of agreement in between these countries. These companies or countries are said to be trading partners. So trading partners basically that will cover the countries, okay, that are involved in the international trade with another countries, okay, by means of coming together, okay, in the form of some mutual agreement with each other. So they will settle down their terms and conditions on supply of goods and services, okay, by means of export and import of these goods and services. They are going to conduct the international trade. India is one of the major trading partner with many of the international countries, say for example USA, China, Japan, Russia, England, France, as India will import the technological goods from these nations, okay, and on behalf of that, okay, we will export some particular form of agriculture goods, say for example tea, food grains, rubber, textile, gem and jewelry. So these countries are the trading partners to each other. India is also a trading partner to many of the international countries. So these are called as trading partners. How does India will be the major trading partners with the different countries across the world? Okay, we will have the data with respect to since 2006 to 2009. So many countries, okay, those who are involved in the international trade with India, say for example USA, China, Arabian countries, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Germany, UK, means Britain, Belgium, Japan, Korea, Netherlands and Hong Kong. So they are largely importing some agriculture goods from India, and simultaneously India has been importing specifically some technological goods, okay, by means of using some different forms of tools and other related services, okay. So from 2006 to 2008 and 9, okay, we are identifying the different forms of statistics which can be presented over here. and how does India has been projecting as one of the major trading partner with these countries. But we could also identify that India being a developing nations, and we are having huge trade balance with many of the countries, particularly say for example China and Saudi Arabia. They are the largest trading partners with India, and mainly we are importing different types of goods and other services from these countries. Say for example, from Saudi Arabia we are importing some petrochemical goods. So we do came to know that our trade deficit has been increasing continuously, okay, due to import of these petrochemical goods. Simultaneously, countries like China, we are heavily relying on some countries, okay, on import of technological and other items, wherever our trade deficit has been increasing day by day. Then India's major trading partners during 2012. So we came to know there are some countries, say for example UAE, US. This is the data that will shows that total exports, okay, during the year 2012, and the amount of export has been made from India to these countries. Okay, so we came to know that Indonesia was 7 billion US dollar. Total export was 304 billion US dollar. Okay, Indonesia 7 billion US dollar. Belgium 7. Okay, Germany 8. UK 9. Netherlands 9 billion US dollar. Hong Kong 13 billion. Singapore 17 billion. China is one of the largest trading partner with India. Okay, as compared to the major exporters from India are, okay, USA and UAE. So these are the one of the largest trading partners, that those who are being contributing for the India's exports. Okay, as compared to India's export, okay, we do have the India's import sources, okay, from different trading partners, those who are being exporting to India. So we came to know that similarly, as compared to export, we are having major import, okay, during the year 2012. So similarly, Indonesia has exported 15 billion US dollar to India, Australia 15 billion US dollar, Germany 16, Kuwait 16, Iraq 19, USA 23, okay, from Saudi Arabia 31 billion US dollars, Switzerland 32 billion. The largest trading partners, again those who are being largely importing to this to the countries like India, are UAE and China. So these are the major trading partners with India. Now we are going to start with the foreign trade policy. Okay, that foreign trade policy are also called as EXIM policy. EXIM policy means export import policy. Since 2004, the nomenclature of EXIM policy has been changed to foreign trade policy after the introduction of one of the very important act, that is called as Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. Okay, and this act will provide the framework for regulation of international trade or foreign trade, okay, by means of facilitating imports and augmenting exports from India, okay, and to other countries and other connected matters therewith. Okay, so this is one of the major improvement in India's foreign trade, wherever we are concentrating on the development of overall world trade. So the role of that Foreign Trade Development Regulation Act 1992, that will provide a very good framework for the development of trade from India, particularly in the form of export and import. Okay, this act will provide the different guidelines, okay, how to conduct the international trade. So let us see some sort of provisions which are being covered under this Foreign Trade Regulation Act 1992. So this act has been provide the frameworks, okay, by means of using some sort of provision. So what are that provisions are supposed to be here? Okay, the act may make provisions for facilitating and controlling the foreign trade. So each and every type of activity which are relating to the foreign trade, even foreign exchange rules and regulations which are being covered under this act also, that may prohibit, restrict, regulate the export and import in all specified areas or cases, as well as subject them to exemption. So whatever form of provisions which are being covered, okay, for which either it should be prohibited, restricted, or to regulate whatever form of export or import of various types of goods and other services which are specified under this act, okay. Or there are some other special provisions wherever which items has been exempted from export or import, that may be also specified under this act. So it is authorized to formulate and announce an export and import policy, and also aimed the same from time to time by notification of the official gazette. So government of India has formulated this act, okay, and from time to time they are going to give the notification to the number of exporters and importers, okay, or whatever form of policy changes which are being supposed to be happening, okay, as per the Director General of Foreign Trade. So they were being specified in the official gazette, and they were notified on their websites. So it is also authorized to appoint the Director General of Foreign Trade for the purpose of the act, including the formulation and implementation of the export import policy. The government of India has formulated this act by means of introducing one particular post, that is called as, and the office that is called as the Director General of Foreign Trade. Okay, so that post, as well as the office, has been formulated, okay, particularly for formulation of different export import policy or foreign trade policy, okay, and as well as the implementation of these policies would be primarily the matter which are being covered under the Director General of Foreign Trade offices in India. Now when we are talking about this foreign trade policy, so generally it would have the 5 year period policy whenever it was introduced, from 2004 to 9, as well as from 9 to 14. Prior to that, okay, before 2004, okay, all the foreign trade policies will be was termed as the exim policies. So try to remember over here that earlier policies before 1994 they were called as exim policies, and after the 2004 they will be nomenclature as the foreign trade policies, okay. So nowadays we will just say that it is the foreign trade policies. So what these foreign trade policies will be governed, and that will formulate the various rules and regulations, and for the implementation of these foreign trade policies. So they will direct the Director General of Foreign Trade to implement the various plans and policies which are being covered under the act. So it takes an integrated view of overall development for India's trade and provide the roadmap for the development of the foreign trade sector. Okay. So this act, as well as these foreign trade policies, has been provided the framework for the overall development of India's foreign trade, okay, and simultaneously has provided the path view for the success to achieve some desired standards, particularly in the field of foreign trade, or the world merchandise trade. A vigorous export led growth strategy for doubling India's share in growth merchandise trade in the next 5 years, with a focus on sectors having prospects for export expansion and potential for employment generation, that constitute the main plank of the policy. One of the major ingredients of these foreign trade policies is how to promote the export, particularly from India, as well as to promote the employment generation. Okay, that will be one of the major ingredient of these foreign trade policies. Okay, and simultaneously, how does India will double the export? Okay, during particularly since 2004. Okay, which has been covered under the different foreign trade policies. Okay, but prior policies were also one of the plays a very major ingredient role, but after 2004, okay, major changes were happen under these foreign trade policies. So all such measures are being expected to enhance India's international competitiveness and aid in further increasing the acceptability of Indian exports. So all types of measures which has been taken by these foreign trade policies as well as the Director General of Foreign Trade to remain competitive across the world market and to enhance the India's position into the world market. So this policy will set out the core objectives, identify key strategies, spells out the focus initiative, outlines export incentives, and also addresses issues concerning the institutional support, including simplification of procedure relating to the export activities. When we are talking about the role of these foreign trade policies as well as the role of Director General of Foreign Trade, so what exactly that they were done? So when we are talking about the promotion of the export activities across the various sectors, so these foreign trade policies, okay, that not only formulate the policies but also tries to implement their plans by means of achieving their core objectives and identifying the effective strategies to implement their plans. Okay, and simultaneously focusing on some initiative sectors. Okay, outlining the export incentives under the different sectors and addressing some issues which are being related with the institutional infrastructure for export promotions. Okay, by means of laying down the procedure and documentation for export related activities which are being covered under these foreign trade policies. So time to time different measures has been taken to took place, okay, across the various foreign trade policies. So India has formulated the different foreign trade policies or exim policies. So before 2004, okay, the first policy was called as the exim policy from 1997 to 2002. Okay, another policy would be called as from 2002 to 2007, and even there were lots of amendments has been there. Okay, after this 2002, but after 2004, okay, since 2004 we will nomenclature that exim policies as foreign trade policies. So foreign trade policy 2004 to 2009, another one foreign trade policy 2009 to 14, and foreign trade policy 2015 to 2020. The 2009 to 14 and 15 to 20 will be a matter of presentation that will be covered in the class by the students. So we will cover these three trade policies, okay, during our presentations. So let us see about these exim policies 1997 to 2007. Okay, sorry, 2002. The primary objective of these exim policies to accelerate the growth, okay, of India's economic specifically. Okay, so from low level of economic activities to high level of economic activities by making it globally oriented, vibrant economy to drive the maximum benefit from expanding the global market opportunities. So India has been understood that if they want to remain into these businesses, okay, particularly to project India is one of the major country, okay, and how does they can contribute for the overall development and growth of the world market. Okay, so it is quite necessary to project the India's economy as one of the growing and vibrant economy. So that has been covered under these objectives. to stimulate the sustained economic growth by providing access to essential raw material, intermediaries, component, consumable, capital goods required for augmenting production. So whatever form of production related activities has been supposed to be there, that drives the growth of the economies, and government has been very keen for making such a kind of development, okay, and they were started since 1997 to enhance the technological strength and efficiency in case of Indian agriculture industries services, thereby improving their competitiveness. So government also focusing on some key sectors, say for example agriculture, industry, and some allied services. So they also strive to achieve the growth in these sectors also, to generate new employment opportunities and encouraging the attainment of internationally accepted standards of quality. Simultaneously, Government of India has one of the major objective to generate the employment, okay, across the various sectors, and for which, okay, they strives to move by means of maintaining the quality standards. So ISO 9000, ISO 14000 certifications were introduced along with the different productivity councils to provide the quality consumer products at a reasonable prices. So it is quite necessary to provide the benefits, particularly the larger masses, okay, in the form of providing the consumer products at reasonable prices, so that people of the country or citizens of the country could be get benefited largely. So these are the major objectives of these policies, and which will lay down some sort of highlights that which are we are going to cover under this Exim policies 2009 from 1997 to 2002. So government of India has introduced these policies since 1997 to 2002, and there were lots of modifications has been there. So from 1st April 1997 to 31st March 2002, okay, this policy was in existence. Earlier policies was up to 3 years, okay, but from 1997, okay, the 5-year plan has been introduced, particularly for promotion of export, okay, by means of liberalization, by means of introducing the liberalization in different sort of activities that will drive the growth of the industry as well as the various allied sectors. So okay, so liberalization is the key that the government of India has understood, and they will introduce the policy of liberalization since after the introduction of the LPG, okay, since 90s. So it has substantially eliminating the licensing, quantitative restrictions, and other regulatory and discriminatory control. All goods except those coming under the negative list may be freely imported or exported. The government of India has been very keen, okay, these days, particularly after the introduction of liberalization. So they were eliminated the licensing processes or import license whichever required on some particular items, remove some quantitative restrictions and other regulatory measures, okay. So they were liberalize these things, okay, as well as there are some particular items which are covered under the negative list, okay, they may be freely imported or exported, that has been covered under these policies. Prior to that, okay, government of India has also made one of the major changes, okay, with respect to that 542 items, okay, whichever under the restricted list, out of which 150 items has been transferred to special import license. So nearly 150 items which are being covered under special import license, and other 392 items has been transferred to the open general license list, okay. So these 392 items would not require some special permission for import within India. So only 150 items which have been covered under the special import license, and proper permission has been required by the importers within India. So this import liberalization scheme was introduced by the government of India. Then government of India also introduced during this 1997 to 2002 exim policies one scheme that is called as Export Promotion of Capital Goods EPCG scheme. Now this EPCG scheme was being particularly useful for the for the export promotion of capital goods mainly. So goods which are being primarily imported particularly to manufacture some another goods. Okay, so their duty on imported capital goods under EPCG scheme has been reduced from 15% to 10%. So items which can be required, okay, to produce some another items, okay, that is called as export promotion capital goods scheme EPCG scheme. Okay, so earlier that there was 15% duty was there on these items, so it was been reduced to 10%. So under this scheme some zero duty EPCG scheme has been introduced, and the threshold limit of that has been reduced from 20 crore to 5 crore for agriculture and allied sectors. So some special schemes, okay, which are being related to agriculture and allied sector. Okay, so zero duty EPCG scheme has been introduced. Okay, companies those who are being importing up to 20 crore. Okay, earlier it was a limit up to 20 crore and it has been reduced to 5 crore. Advanced license scheme was introduced during this 1997 to 2002. Under this advanced license scheme, the period of export obligations has been extended from 12 months to 18 months. Okay, so export license scheme was being introduced particularly on some particular items. Okay, so further extension of 6 months can be given on payment of rupees 1% on the value of unfulfilled exports. So there are companies, okay, that has been made committed for to export of certain particular goods or services, okay, from India. Some special extension has been given up to 6 months, okay, and that should be on payment of 1% on the value of unfulfilled export. Okay, so this scheme has been introduced under this scheme, but there are some lots of measures has been taken under this scheme. So another policies has been taken all these measures further. Duty entitled passbook scheme, okay, DEPB. Okay, that DEPB scheme has been introduced particularly for exporter. Okay, exporters those who want to apply for credit, okay, on some specified percentage of FOB value. FOB value means the freight on board value. Okay, so whenever there is an export consignment, okay, what is the cost of that freight on board? Okay, whenever it has been loaded on the vessel, okay, the total value of that particular goods will be called as freight on board value. Okay, and made in freely convertible currency. So DPB scheme has been introduced for the exporters those who can apply for credit. So and they will grade the credit as per the percentage of their FOB value in whatever form of currency that they required. Such credit can be utilized for import of raw material, intermediaries, components, parts, packaging material, etc. for export purposes even also. So this will greatly benefited particularly the importer as well as the exporter. Okay, so DPP scheme was one of the great achievement under the foreign trade policies, okay, or exim policy 1997 2002. Some as we discussed earlier, some special import license has been issued on 150 items. Okay, out of these 150 items, okay, some special provisions has been made on some particular form of industries. So special import license on export from SSIs has been increased from 1% to 2%. Okay, so companies those are belonging to the small scale sector, okay, or small scale industries, okay, special license special import license has been issued. Okay, earlier it was 1%, so 2% SSI has been covered under this scheme. Export houses and all other forms of trading houses has been eligible for additional special import license of 1% on export of products from SSI from northern eastern state. Government of India has also introduced a very good forms of scheme, particularly in the form of, so they were introduces the three forms of organization, that is called as export houses, okay, then trading houses, okay, then star trading houses and superstar trading houses. Superstar trading houses, so there are four categories of these export houses, okay, and particularly companies those are belonging to, okay, that SSI sector from northern eastern state, some additional special import license has been increased from 1% on export of the product from SSIs those are belonging to the northern eastern state. Additional SSI has been declared for exploration of new markets and export of agro products. So some further additional SIL has been introduced, particularly companies those who are exporting the agricultural goods. SIL entitlement for export holding ISO 9000 certification has been increased from 2% to 5% on the FOB value of exports. Companies those who are being belonging to some small scale sectors and those who are uh, exporting those are having some ISO 9000 certifications, such kind of exporters has been increased from 2% to 5%, okay, whichever has been exporting as per their FOB value. So these schemes were introduced during these special import license schemes. As we were talk earlier, okay, there are different types of export houses and trading houses are there. This is called as export houses. Means export houses, means trading houses, means star trading houses, and means superstar trading houses. And the different scheme has been introduced for these during this period of time. Particularly this table has been obtained from 2000 to 2001 period, okay. So earlier limit for that export houses for FOB criteria amount in rupees crore, okay, and this is what NFE criteria would be there, net foreign exchange criteria would be there. So annual FOB average FOB value of export made during the preceding 3 licensing years, okay, the limit for export houses was earlier 15 crore would be there, okay, which can be increased to 22 crores. FOB value of export made during the preceding licensing year. Earlier it was 22 crore. It should be set up to 15 crore. Okay, depending on the FOB value. Okay. Similarly, in case of trading houses, earlier it was 112 crore and it was set up to 75 crore. Similarly, in case of star trading houses, 375 crore, and superstar trading houses, okay, 1125 crore, okay. So that were set the limit so as to promote the exports, particularly from these different type of industries. So these are the export houses, okay, trading houses, star trading houses and superstar trading houses. These are nothing but the different types of industries which are exporting different types of goods and other services. Okay, so there were two criteria has been applied, FOB criteria and NFE criteria has been there. Then government has also introduced one scheme that is called as deemed export, okay. Deemed export facilities has been extended to oil and gas sectors in addition to power sector. Earlier deemed export scheme was been only limited to some key sectors, okay. In case of deemed export, okay, companies those who want to conduct the international trade, okay, so they would have an authority or to make the export to any other country only when they will receive the payment from the another country, okay. So special kind of scheme which was introduced, and that scheme is called was called as deemed export. and these schemes either they should have to receive the payment in Indian rupees or whichever currency that they do require, okay, the exporters would require. So this scheme has been earlier limited to power sector, which was further extended to oil and gas sector also. Okay, government has also promoted the software units, okay, which can undertake the export, okay, which are relating to data communication link through courier services, which was introduced under this scheme. Import of computer system has been brought under the preview of EPCG scheme, okay. Export promotion of capital goods scheme, okay, that computer systems comes under that capital goods scheme. Computerization of DGFT office, Director General of Foreign Trade Office, was introduced since 1998 so as to reduce the paperwork and to avoid the delay, okay, in export import procedures. So these schemes were introduced during 1997 to 2002. Some special type of schemes were introduced specially for SSI units, as we were discussed earlier. Special import license particularly for SSI, which has been increased from 1% to 2%, okay, which was specially made for SSI units, small scale industries. Export houses and all forms of trading houses are eligible for additional special import license of 1% of export of product from SSIs from northern eastern states. So all types of export houses, trading houses, okay, star trading houses or superstar trading houses, those are belonging to northern eastern states, and they are belonging to, suppose say, SSI sectors, okay. So 1% on export of products has been some additional license has been issued to them. Reduction of threshold level up to rupees 5 crore from 20 crore under the EPCG scheme will be benefited to the SSI. Okay, some other sort of provisions which has made under the EPCG scheme, okay, and their threshold limit was earlier 20 crore, and it was being set up to 5 crore rupees so as to promote the exports. Some particular kind of sectors, say for example agriculture sector, okay, lots of provisions has been made, okay, along with some additional SILs, okay. Double weightage will be given to agricultural exports in calculating the eligibility for export houses and all forms of trading houses, okay. So companies those who are belonging to different that four forms of export houses, trading houses, star trading houses as well as superstar trading houses, so they will grant a status of some double weightage has been given, okay, those who are primarily exporting the agriculture goods. Additional SIL of 1% has been declared for exports of agro products, okay. Export oriented units as well as units those are belonging to export processing zones in agriculture and allied sector, okay, they can sell up to 50% of their output in the domestic tariff area, okay, DTI, okay, on payment of the duty. So many of the export oriented units and those are belonging to EPZ, okay, they were entitled to sell their product in the domestic market, okay, under these 1997 to 2002, okay, one scheme that is called as zero duty EPCG scheme has been introduced, okay, and earlier its threshold limit was 20 crore and it has been reduced to 5 crore specially for agriculture and allied sector, okay, which was introduced in 1997 to 2002 EXIM policies. So that's all about these foreign trade policy as well as EXIM policy of 1997 to 2002, the other policies that we are going to discuss in the remaining forthcoming session. Thank you very much.